Hello, and welcome to my in-depth guide to the Harbinger of Death Swarm Nightmare boss in the Honkai Star Rail that debuted in the 3.8 story. I'll be going over attacks, mechanics, some general tips, and characters that may be noteworthy for the fight. I will also attempt to explain its general attack patterns based on my observations, but these can be much more tedious and difficult to determine. As of the time of uploading, this boss is in the Memory of Chaos 3.8 rotation, but this guide will not take into consideration the memory turbulence effect, nor what the other half or even what the first wave of the stage is like. These factors may affect character selections compared to if the boss is fought in a vacuum, and may change in future iterations. Future iterations may also have different numbers, but are unlikely to change mechanically. If you are watching this for a later iteration, check the comments to see if I've made any additional comments or clarifications. To start with a quick overview of the boss's attributes, the Harbinger of Death has only one phase and is weak to physical, fire, and wind damage, and has a standard 20% damage resistance to ice, lightning, quantum, and imaginary damage. It has one toughness bar of 200 toughness. Under certain conditions, the boss will summon 4 juvenile stings. These summons have quantum and imaginary weakness, a 20% damage resistance to physical, fire, ice, lightning, and wind damage, and 60 toughness each. Onto the actual attacks, mechanics, and patterns. Let's start with the summons, the juvenile stings. Juvenile stings normally have a summon ability that allows one to produce one spawn of itself, but this ability is disabled in the context of this boss fight. The other two abilities include a standard single target attack that has a high chance to inflict wind shear, which is its only actual attack, and a talent that triggers when it is killed. This talent deals some damage and 10 toughness damage to all of its friendly units, and has a high chance to inflict a minor damage received increased debuff. Moving on to the main boss, the Harbinger of Death has a talent that, when attacked, converts a portion of the HP reduced to corrosion. More on this later. The boss also always gets an extra action when its turn arrives, with one exception. 2 of the boss's abilities are marked as dangerous. It will begin the fight with a standard single target attack, then immediately follow up with the first of the 2 aforementioned denoted abilities. This ability causes the boss to enter an enhanced state called Gene Duplication, where it increases its speed by 50%, summons 4 juvenile stings with an effect called Rapid Evolution, and allows you to designate a target character as Nemesis, who then immediately takes action. Rapid Evolution prevents the stings from receiving critical hits from allies not designated as the Nemesis, and the Nemesis state itself increases break effect by 200% and causes all stings to prioritize attacking that character. During Gene Duplication, the Harbinger of Death will alternate between 2 ability strings, the first of which has the boss use a heavier hitting single target attack, followed by buffing all stings at 20 speed for 2 turns. The second string has the boss use the same single target attack from the start of the fight, followed by a standard blast attack. The main gimmick of this fight comes from a combination of the Gene Duplication state and the juvenile stings. During Gene Duplication, all of the Harbinger of Death's attacks deal additional damage based on the number of juvenile stings remaining. When stings attack, the boss gains a stack of Mortal Instinct. Upon reaching 5 stacks, it immediately takes action and attacks with the second ability denoted as Dangerous, dealing heavy AoE damage. This is also the exception where the boss does not get its extra action. Using this AoE attack clears its stacks of Mortal Instinct and heals its corroded HP, up to 10% of its max HP. Any leftover corroded HP remains. Upon defeating all juvenile stings, the boss immediately becomes weakness broken, treated as Fire Break, and the Gene Duplication and Nemesis states are dispelled. This additionally delays the boss, clears any remaining corroded HP, and applies a 50% damage taken increase debuff until the boss recovers from Weakness Break. It re-enters Gene Duplication immediately upon recovering from Weakness Break, and the process repeats. Here's a summary of the prior section. The Harbinger of Death always gets an extra action when its turn arrives normally. When attacked, a portion of the reduced HP is converted to corroded HP. The fight starts with the boss entering an enhanced state when its turn arrives, increasing its speed, summoning 4 juvenile stings, and forcing you to designate a target character as Nemesis. The Nemesis immediately takes action and has their break effect increased, becomes prioritized for targeting by the stings, and is the only character that can deal critical hits to them. The main boss itself can still receive critical hits from anyone. During this enhanced state, all of the boss's attacks deal extra damage based on the number of remaining stings. When stings attack, the boss gains a stack, and at maximum stacks, the boss immediately takes action to perform an AoE attack for heavy damage. This also heals its corroded HP up to a cap, while the remaining amount can be healed by subsequent triggers. Aside from this, the boss increases all stings speed every other turn, though this does not stack. Upon defeating all stings, the boss exits its enhanced state and immediately becomes weakness broken, has its action additionally delayed, and clears any remaining corroded HP. It takes extra damage until it recovers from weakness break, whereupon the whole process repeats. With the attacks, mechanics, and patterns out of the way, here are a few gameplay tips. Focus on dealing with the stings first. While alive, sustained pressure increases by a fair amount, and if allowed to attack too much, will cause the boss to heal itself. Manually breaking the main boss via toughness damage isn't useful for clearing faster, and it will take more damage when broken from defeating all of the stings anyway. If you can afford to, try to save your ultimates for this damage window. Designate your strongest DPS character as the Nemesis, since they will be the only one who will be able to deal critical hits to the stings, or in the case of break, have their break effect increased. Now for the character section. As a disclaimer, I lack a good portion of the characters on my account, so there's a lot that I am unable to personally test and or verify. But I'll go over some that I've used myself, and others that I think may be noteworthy based on my observations and understandings of the mechanics. Just don't take this section as the end-all be-all. I will also be referring to spiral stats, but the API is limited and currently provides no way to separate the clear times per side. Also keep in mind that statistics used at the time of uploading are for the 3.8 iteration, and the first wave of the side may affect clear times as well. Break. In particular, the Dahlia. The boss debuted in the version 3.8 story, and so did the Dahlia, so naturally she'd be designed for the fight. Mechanically speaking, she can easily implant fire weakness to all of the stings, plus another weakness depending on who the dance partner is. First, the implant itself can allow other supports to help with breaking the stings. Second, she enables super break damage even if the target is not broken as long as they have the weakness. She benefits Firefly by a massive amount, but Boothill and Rappa also get a lot of mileage. Looking at the spiral stats pulled accounts, there are no E0 clears for break teams without the Dahlia. Archer. Pre-4.0 sparkle buffs, Archer seemed to struggle a bit in this boss but was definitely still doable. Post-sparkle buffs make Archer teams much stronger given how powerful Sparkle's Novaflare is. Assuming you were there to claim everyone when they were free, the free-to-play team of Archer, Pokemon Trainer, Sparkle, and RMC is perfectly viable, and I was able to get a 4-cycle clear without optimizing much. Archer may take a few rotations to clear all of the stings, but after that, he shreds the main boss. Anaxa. Hypercarry Anaxa remains strong in this rotation, and actually has the second fastest average clear from the accounts pulled by spiral stats. He's a bit similar to Archer in that he may take some time to clear the stings, but he has no problem preventing them from attacking because of his implants. With a properly set up Anaxa, the stings should be dead or nearly dead by the time they recover from weakness break. At that point, Anaxa ironically functions as a hunt character against the Harbinger of Death. Phainon. Also similar to Archer and Anaxa, a bit weaker in the AoE context of dealing with the stings, but demolishes the main boss once the stings are gone. He also applies physical weakness during his ultimate. If running him with Pokemon Trainer, Soul Dragon can also help with breaking the stings, depending on timings. Castorus. Castorus is a bit of the opposite to Archer, Anaxa, and Phainon. She has little issue dealing with the stings, but single target damage isn't her strong suit. Cyrene can help alleviate this. Castorus also typically runs with Evernight, but she won't be able to crit if Castorus is designated as Nemesis. Dot. One of the Harbinger of Death's abilities converts a portion of the reduced HP to corrosion, but only when it is attacked. This means that the dot ticks from the boss taking its own turns don't convert to corrosion. Some mad lad even got Luca working post Black Swan Novaflare. Tribbie. Aside from being a very strong generalist support, she provides a lot of toughness damage for a Harmony unit, so she can contribute a lot to dealing with the juvenile stings. And that will be it for my in-depth guide on the Harbinger of Death Swarm Nightmare boss. If you've got any questions, feedback, or suggestions, consider leaving them down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, found it helpful, and or enjoy my other content, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.
最終